We're going to see how this goes today. My new tech setup to stream, multi-stream. So I'm curious. I have to pull up a few things to see if it's actually working. Please bear with me. I'm going to get good at this one day. I'm going to get good at this. So, I don't know if it says I'm streaming. But it doesn't say I'm live. Okay. It may take a moment. So on my run today, I usually, I don't decide what I want to speak about until about 3, 4, 5 miles into my run. And I think that's when it hits me. And today I had two thoughts that came over me. And one was about most influencers, not just in running, I think in all aspects, are positioning themselves to gain your trust. And I think that trust is marketing 101. Once they have it, then they sell you a convenient, easy solution, and they frame it as proof they know what's best for you. And they're not deceiving you. They're appealing to the oldest part of your brain, though, the limbic system. That's the part wired for comfort and shortcuts and dopamine and immediate relief. It definitely wants attention. It wants reassurance. It wants the problem to be solved without discomfort. That's why quick fixes sell. That's why easy answers, they just spread throughout the internet. I don't operate there. I believe in tough love. I believe the solution is not convenient. It's difficult. And I think the first thing you need to do is start by confronting that part of your brain that is seduced by comfort and speed. Because there is no shortcuts, there's no hacks. It's just discipline, consistency, and that effort over time. And I'm not here to satisfy your need for reassurance. It's not your trust that satisfies me. It's your transformation. So every time I'm sharing something about running, I'm not a professional. It's an experiment that I did, that I transformed, and it worked for me because that information came from other people or influencers, or I read it. And if you don't transform, then what's the point? So on my run today, what popped into my head was silence. And I think silence scares a lot of people. especially on a run and in life. Everyone seems to be just connected to this noise. And I don't think it's because your mind is weak, it's because your mind is untrained. So most of my runs, I don't wear my watch. I don't, um, I put my phone, after my warm up, I put my phone back into my truck. I don't listen to music. I'm like, no noise, just completely electronic free most of the time. And I find that that connection to silence has really helped me out. Um, when those distractions disappear, your brain, I guess they call it turns inward. Um, and yes, the doubt shows up, the discomfort shows up, um, and that voice or voices in your head that you keep or want to avoid, that finally shows up. And I think that's what makes people extremely uncomfortable dealing with that voice. Um, but that it's like when you're connecting to that silence, it activates that emotional regulation. I mean, that your mind starts to work, that muscle. If you take those distractions away, that's when the work begins. Um, I guess your brain learns not to panic or not to react. Um, it stays present under that stress. And that's like really important. It's so difficult to train yourself uh, to be confident with that. That silence. So most of my runs, most of my training runs are, embedded in nature. That's why a beautiful run is so important. And that kind of monotonous, boring run, uh, people say, "Oh my God, how do you run? It's so boring." Well, your choice. That route can be um, absolutely spectacular if you want it to be, and it helps with that silence. So today, I was thinking about it, and I find that most people, well, I'm reading and I'm listening, and I think they struggle with that silence. Um, that and they're constantly distracting themselves to prevent themselves from kind of that adaptation. Um, and it could be scary. Um, I don't think you could escape that effort or escape the voices in your head. I think it's impossible to escape it. You could drown it out, but it's there. And the more you deal with it, I, the better you get. That muscle gets stronger, and that's a part of marathon training that I think is so difficult. I mean, everyone's concerned about the physical side of it. You're going to get hurt if you run too much. You're going to get hurt if you're not a smart runner. You're going to get hurt if you don't recover. But no one really talks about that mental side, that muscle. Does it need recovery? Does it? Is it constant? I mean, when you sleep, I'm sure it's recovering, and your body is resting. I believe that's when you recover. But when you're awake, I don't think you could attempt to recover from that. I think it's a process of your work. You're constantly working on that, and I think a strong body um, is becomes strong when you train and you run. And strong minds are trained with silence. And that's why I run completely disconnected. So, no music. I know that sounds horrible, but no music, no watch constantly telling me how far I'm going or my heart rate, or it's just, me and my thoughts and allowing them to surface. And sometimes it's loud and sometimes it's a whisper. But I think the most important thing you learn about yourself is during those whispers, and you really have to listen to it. Because if you don't listen to those whispers, I mean, who else is going to share that information with you? That's your body and your mind telling you something so important, because if it wasn't important, your body and your mind wouldn't be sharing it with you. And I'm sure there's other ways besides running to achieve that. But to me, running is the most natural thing we could do. I honestly believe most people um, can run or move forward if they have to, and get a good workout in. If you're working your upper body, or if you're working your upper body and lower body, I think something repetitive, rowing, running, uh, jumping rope, dancing, aerobics. I think it could be anything, but there needs to be a consistent movement. I think it has to be a little bit more aggressive than walking eventually. If you have to start walking because you're at a point where um, you've never worked out, I believe walking is wonderful, but incremental and systematic training. Every week, you need to increase the stress just a little bit so you're not um, stagnant. So if you're walking, I would suggest maybe walking a little faster or longer, or up hills or up steps, or create a obstacle course for yourself where you're improving each week. I just don't think you could just walk, meander, and let your mind just wander. You really need to be connected physically, mentally, and spiritually to grow, in my opinion. And that worked for me, and it wasn't easy. And it helps the more consistent you are. So it's an interesting thing today about silence, because I start out my run, I do my videos, uh, the subject matter. Well, when I'm having my coffee in the morning, I'll write something that I thought about on the run the day before, and it sticks with me. And it's something that I usually have struggled with, and maybe I just forgot about it or ignored it or didn't address it fully. And I have a tendency of doing that. When you're working on yourself, you have a tendency of ignoring all the difficult stuff. So my runs usually reveal that silence, that's the therapy, man. And those difficult things, um, they're fragmented. They come in, like, it's like a opening up a puzzle for the first time and dumping it on the table. You have the luxury of knowing what the puzzle is because of the box cover. But if someone throws away the box cover and puts the puzzle into a shoebox, and then you dump these many pieces, you don't know what it is, and it's revealed through your effort. um, I think that has a lot to do with, you know, working on ourselves. There's something that is revealed and it's not obvious. I mean, if it was easy, man. If it was easy, I would say that everyone would be in bliss, I guess, if it was easy, but it's not. For some reason, it's extremely difficult. But then once we learn about all those things, I guess we could appreciate it. If it was easy, we would probably take it for granted. So the subject matter when I do my videos comes about um, from a run, usually my warm up, because I'm relaxed. There's really no pressure. Um, it's not stressful. And as you get older, I don't know when the warm up ends. It could be 3 miles, or if it's colder out, or I had a bad sleep, which is most nights, because as you get older, your sleep is just horrible. Dogs waking you up. There's a bear outside. The dogs are going bananas. You don't sleep well. You got a sore neck, sore back, sore legs, sore feet. I mean, it's just a part of life. And, that affects your warm up. So sometimes it's 3 miles, sometimes it's 4 miles, sometimes it's five, sometimes it's seven. I mean, it's just, it is what it is. But you know when your body is finally at that point. And that's when you could do, I call it controlled stress, a challenging um, routine or a challenging session, um, to grow. We always want to grow. So I'm not going to be doing a warm up the whole entire time. If there's a big hill, I'm very fortunate to live in the mountains, so I have a ton of them. I'll put that into my route. And I love all those challenges, but you have to be careful. You have to be warmed up for that. And some days, I get it. You're limited for time. How do you afford to run for 3 hours or 2 hours? Where are you getting this time? You have to work it in. I believe you when people say I can't afford to run 6 days a week. I say you can't afford not to, because it's important to have the consistency and the discipline to do it. It may be more difficult at first, but um, discovering a routine is just as important as the information or the becoming a runner. And I think your routine, if you're working out at the gym or aerobics or yoga or weightlifting, anything um, you choose to do to be healthy and challenge yourself, that routine is very important. And the routine comes with convenience. And I think a routine needs to be really simple and convenient. Like, I struggle with going to the gym, getting in the car, in the major cities, parking in a parking lot, or trying to find a space, navigating through traffic. By the time you get to the gym, like 45, 50 minutes has gone by. Then the gym, depending on when you go, it's crowded. That's why I really decided to do my CrossFit training while I'm running, because in the mountains, I lace up, um, and my run begins the minute I step off my last step. And then I have all these amazing routes. And it's not like one day I'm like, oh, tomorrow I'm going to run that route. I just love being in the moment and just allowing the instincts to take me. And all the routes are fun. And that's it, it's to me, you're battling with, oh my God, I'm running around this circle or my block 10 times. It's so boring, that loop. But that's one of the amazing things about living in an area where, nature is your course, is your terrain. It makes it convenient to stay consistent with your routine. And that's a battle. I believe most people give up or they're interrupted because the routine isn't convenient and you're spending more time starting than you are actually working out. So these are all, you have to discover what works for you. And sometimes you have to create possibilities to make it convenient so you stay and stick with that routine consistently. That's beginning runners want to know, what should I do first? I- You know, the fact that you made the decision to start something new is a great choice, obviously. But if it's running, which I can only speak to because that is my choice of exercise, the main thing is convenience. I find it difficult to run in the city. First of all, I'm like, the electric cars, I'm dressed all funky and bright because I want people to see me. Like, you cannot hear those cars um, coming up on you, and everyone's on their cell phone. It's just, it's an odd vibe in the city, and the city's so loud. And I don't know if it's the healthiest place to run because of all the fumes, and you're in this kind of concrete jungle that's not so conducive for running. So that's why I really enjoy and embrace the mountains, because some of the back roads I run on, I won't see a car for sometimes the whole entire day, 2 hours. And then the back roads, the trail runs, um, the shift in the pavement, um, that's an incredible thing. I mean, it helps you so much. I mean, I know I'm not a trail runner. I've never run a trail race before. All my marathons are on macadam or a hard surface. It could be like a bike path in a community. You're navigating through like 13 miles and you do a loop, but the surfaces are hard. Not like an ultra marathoner which they're running. They're running over this precarious terrain. Like, nothing's the same. You got to constantly um, be aware. That's why it's the ultra marathon and the marathoners. You can't compare the two. They are on I believe, a completely different level. And I'm sure when they started out, it was odd, and their routine, their consistency, the convenience of training, they got better. I think anyone could speak to that. If it's difficult just to start, your chances of being consistent um, aren't going to be that good. So I think that's the best advice I could give to a person that's starting to run. Really work that out. Um, and and plus, if your terrain or your environment is conducive to a certain activity. I mean, you could see why certain people are amazing swimmers. You know, they grew up near the ocean, or people just have a skill because their environment, it was there when they were younger and they did it every day relentlessly. And maybe they didn't know they were going to use it for a triathlon or ultra marathon or an Ironman, but it sure comes in handy. Like, I'm the worst swimmer in the world. I mean, I could barely do it. Um, and it would be impossible for me to compete with someone that, you know, grew up near the ocean and was constantly swimming. It's like a person that has a really beautiful golf swing that started playing golf when they were younger, and then you pick it up as an adult. I mean, everybody's swing as an adult, it looks horrible, but you could tell a person that took up golf when they were younger because they're the way they swing the club is just so fluid and beautiful, like a professional runner. I mean, you see them; their technique is flawless. Talk about being efficient. So we're, you know, once you start to run, you realize to be a great runner is very difficult. But to just run is, I believe, you know, anyone who's capable to run can just do it incrementally, systematically, day by day, week by week, month by month, improving gradually. You could become a better runner. And once you become a better runner, I think you could challenge yourself more. And it all starts with that routine. And the routine needs to be consistent. So that and the silence, I think the silence is more of something that happened by um, chance with me. Because I always like, I'm a creative person, and I very rarely listen to music when I'm in a creative vibe. There are a lot of creative people that could listen to music while they're creating. I find it's very distracting for me. Like, noise is distracting for me, or an erratic noise that's like not so consistent. Um, I like silence when I'm being creative. So I kind of discovered that while I was running, that these certain thoughts would come into my head when I didn't have any distractions. It's pretty interesting. And then once you get better at that, um, you could really go down the rabbit hole of silence, because the longer you run, I don't mean miles, okay? I'm not talking about miles, I'm talking about time on feet. The longer you run, a 3 hour run, a 4 hour run, your mind is really working. It's pretty amazing. It doesn't happen in 20 minutes. It doesn't happen in 40 minutes. It seems when you break that barrier of like 2 hours, um, you get to a different energy to deal with um, what's going on inside you. It's almost like the deeper it is, the more important it is, the longer you need to run to get to it. I think that's what's so fascinating to me about running a marathon. Um, you know, the beginning is wonderful. It's this, you know, you're surrounded by a group of amazing people with some incredible positive energy. It's really remarkable, the starting line of a marathon, especially the big ones. There's an energy there that I, I I could describe it now because I've ran enough marathons, but the first time it happened, it was almost overwhelming. It's You can't compare it to anything else. Like there's no other crowd like it. It's not like going to a rock concert or an event. It's not, even if you're anticipating or you're waiting for an entertainer. That's not it. Marathon beginning is something very unique. This energy that's shared throughout all these people. Pretty wild. And talking about experiencing the marathon and being distracted by like your earbuds or music. Here's a perfect example. I'll use Boston as probably the rowdiest, most unique run because of the spectators. The Boston people are out of their minds. They are so connected to that race. It's remarkable. Now, people say, well, New York and Chicago and LA, it's a different energy. That Boston energy is remarkable. There are certain areas of the marathon are different, like, than the previous. You have the sorority row. It has this unique sound. When you run up to it, it's like a beehive. You don't know what the noise is, and it's these screaming women by the thousands, and it creates this kind of like buzzing sound as you're approaching it. Extremely unique. Or all the encouragement you get at Heartbreak Hill, because it's there's people lined up and they're just really want you to be at your best, and it's crazy remarkable. And running through the small areas and the tradition of it, if you have on a headset, if you have music, if you're drowning all that out, it you miss the point of that unique experience. I get it. You have these amazing songs that you downloaded. Your playlist is motivating. It reminds you, it makes you indestructible. I get that feeling too. I have those playlists. I you know, I get it. I understand. But to run the Boston Marathon and have things shoved in your ears, blocking out all that beautiful encouragement, it's insane to me because you really need to connect to that energy. That energy is more inspiring than any song. I will tell you that. And then it rolls off into New York City. You have millions of people. There are so many people in New York. You're running through like Brooklyn and Queens, and it's so narrow. And the first time I did it, it was a bit claustrophobic. How narrow these streets get through some of those areas, and then the interesting sound, the silence of going over the bridges, where you could just kind of hear the echo of people's feet into the pavement, and how difficult the bridges are, because you don't realize when you're driving in a car, everything seems flat. You don't really notice the inclines and declines, and that's the most amazing thing about running a marathon. Your perspective is completely different because you're in the center of the road, a road that's usually occupied by cars, and the the bridges and the unique sound and the challenge is like these small mini mountains, and that sound of all these feet, it's like a collective energy. And if you had your headphones on, you'd miss that. Or coming down off the 59th Street Bridge and hearing the roar of the crowd. If you have this fantasy of becoming a rock star or a professional athlete or performing in front of, you know, 50,000 people, that's the closest you're going to get coming off that bridge and running up Second Avenue. There's just so many people. And if you have your headphones on and you're just destroying that moment. And it's just, to me, I don't like when other runners are, they're pumping that music in their ears and they're at a water station. They're not really paying attention to the person behind them, because if I stop at a water station, I carry um, my bottle with me because in California they have all, paperless races. So I just got used to carrying it. People go up to get something to drink and then stop. Like, if I'm going to go up to a table, I'm kind of moving. I don't stop at the water station. So you have these people that are, grabbing and going the traditional way, and you have people just stopping. So people are slamming into each other, and because they can't, they're so into their music that they can't, their personal space. They're like in a bubble and they can't hear anybody. So I don't know how runners run like that because there's some marathons you're running elbow to elbow to somebody, and I'm constantly aware of every runner in front of me, to the left and to the right of me. I could even hear the runners behind me. Every runner has a unique noise. There's some silent runners and then there's some loud runners, and how they breathe. And you could hear some people blasting music so loud into their head you could hear their song. And it's not like a race car where you're speeding away. Sometimes it takes, you're on the same pace, so you're listening to their music. Or there's people on the phone or people having conversations. It's, you know listen, I'm not telling people what to do when they run a marathon, but I know why they're constantly talking, and I know why they're um, blasting music. They're avoiding something, because if they can't run in silence and enjoy the marathon experience, I mean, that's the most remarkable thing about it. Or you could just run 26.2 miles on a treadmill. I mean, or run around your block 60 times. But to get involved in a marathon and be elbow to elbow with somebody, and you could hear someone's music or a conversation for an hour, man, just be in the moment. Enjoy everything. I mean, see these people that are yelling your name and hear these people that are yelling your name, and pay attention to your breath and pay attention to your body. I mean, with all this distraction, I don't understand how they do it. I really don't. I mean, I get if you're encouraging somebody and you're a pacer or in a run club and you have a group of people that you're responsible for, and you guys been training to reach a certain goal or a certain time. And I've heard pacers prepare their runners for an incline and to control your breath. And to shorten your steps and to work on, all the things they worked on. I get that. I understand that. I'm not going to take that away from someone, but that's specific to the marathon. They're communicating to a group of individuals that need that encouragement. That makes sense. But the people that are talking on the phone and just, I don't know, because you're sometimes you're around them for 2-3 miles. It's not, you can't block it out. Um, and it's a shame because every marathon has its unique thing about it. Like Big Bear, not Big Bear. Well, Big Bear's one. Big Sur. It's this organic, prehistoric run along the coast. And the first time I ran it, um, echoing throughout the canyon was this piano music. Like, what the heck is this piano music? It kind of like you didn't know where it was coming from because it was just, when you're running through those hills, um, you don't know where the sound is coming from. And I heard it 2 miles out, 3 miles out. And when you approach, they have this like piano player in like his tuxedo playing at this, beautiful piano. It's so unique. I mean, it was just an amazing connection to this marathon. And if you're blasting music in your ears and you're not appreciating that, I just, I don't know. That's insane. It's like talking through a movie. I, I mean, I know people like they do it, but why do they have to do it? For some reason, they have to talk through a movie. I mean, I guess that's why they don't want you to talk on an airplane, yapping on your cell phone, or, there's certain spaces where people are very close to each other and you just have to respect that. I mean, I could be wrong with that. What is it called? Gatekeeping? Am I being judgmental? But if you're going to miss the piano player, if you're going to miss the screaming Bostonians encouraging you, if you're going to miss the millions of people in New York because you're blasting music into your ears, I just don't see how that connects you in the moment to that race. So if silence is that difficult, don't you think you should work on the silence? If you need to blast music constantly throughout your day into your head, on your run, on your commute to work, if you're, taking the subway or the bus. I mean, there's some people that are just like the noise is being pumped in. They're connected to the matrix all day long. Even when they fall asleep, the TV sets on, or they have, I just saw the silent microphone that you stick under your pillow and only you could hear it. I mean, there has to be a point where you have to allow your body um, to recover from that noise. You got to unplug from the matrix. And yes, it's difficult. I could understand why people have problems dealing with silence. I understand. I get it. But as a runner, I I believe that it's very important for that to be a part of your training, dealing with that silence and what comes out of it. And the electronics, the watch, the phone. People say there's waves going through the phone, cell phone waves or whatever, into your system, through your brain, into your organs. Just completely disconnect as an experiment. That's all. Um, that's the beginning part of the transformation as an experiment. It's not like a cold turkey thing. I don't want you to throw out the smartwatch. I don't want you to like not take your phone because of safety issues, because that's another concern too for some people. What if they feel safe carrying their phone? But then you have to go to a different environment where you feel safe, that you could completely disconnect. Because if you're not bringing your phone and you're concerned for your safety, that defeats the purpose of being in silence, because now you're overwhelmed by something that's not allowing your body to communicate to you. You know, your body's worried, but I don't think that's going to benefit you like some of the silent whispers that transform you. So that was a really important thing that I worked on when I started to run. And it wasn't on purpose. And someone didn't share it with me. It just, I felt initially empowered. And it happens like after the warm up, after the endorphins, after the chemicals are exploding through your body. You notice that your internal voice or that sound within your body changes, and it gets more sensitive the longer you run. And you want to run into that feeling. And it's not a runner's high. It's not I feel physically incredible. It's about a noise. It's about, or lack, I should say, not a noise, a lack of noise. It's more about a comforting noise at first, that because silence, it is a certain noise. And then as you feel comfortable, things start to come up. Creative, um, things that were bothering you before the run are put into context, and they're not as important as something else that comes into your mind at that moment. It's really remarkable how you could use that as like a problem solving tactic, or a technique. It's like, it's pretty amazing how powerful your mind is if you allow it to function in silence. So before a run, everyone, we all make lists. And usually the top of the list is the priority. And then, you kind of remember things that you have to get to or do, and they kind of fall under the other priority. I learned to not write a list, but almost to randomly write things that I need to focus on a piece of paper. They could be in the right corner, the left corner, upside down, right side up. So there's nothing's taking precedent over anything else. There's no priority on that list. It's just a list of important things at the moment. And I look at that list and like to turn the paper around randomly, just say them out loud to myself, and then I go on a run. And usually the most important thing on that list that's connected to everything else, that if you just focused on that one thing, the rest of those items that seemed so concerning become irrelevant. Because if you address that one important thing, the rest just either it solves itself or they're unnecessary. That's the amazing thing about going on a nice, slow, methodical, long run. The chemicals in your body shooting through your brain can solve anything or give you clues how to solve and create possibilities to benefit you. That's, I mean, I've thought of the most creative things ever during my run that I never even crossed my mind being still or idle. So there's silence, there's body in motion, and you're competing with stillness and noise. So try it, experiment, see where it takes you. Take the information someone gives you, experiment it, modify it, make it your own, and discover what works for you. Simple, right? But the process is you need to make an effort. Absolutely make an effort. Because if you don't make an effort, I don't know how you're going to grow. I just don't know how. And as you get older, it gets more difficult. Like people say, "Oh, it's so difficult to recover when you get older." Can you imagine how difficult it is for someone that's not in shape, older, trying to recover? So this only benefits you. So I think those are my two thoughts. Running. And then I started out with, these quick fixes. And it reminds me of the 8-minute abs. Or I think the first VHS tape that came out was the 10-minute abs. The guy made $1 million. And then someone else was clever and said, you know what? I got a better idea. The 8-minute abs. And he made $1 million. But here's the point. You're not getting abs in 10 minutes, and you're not getting abs in 8 minutes. People bought those VHS tapes because the other option, like my tough love, is thousands of hours to get abs. Who the heck wants to hear that? 10 minutes, 8 minutes. Sign me up. 1999. Send me that tape. Now, was the creator being deceitful or lying? No. I think if you work out 8 minutes 100 times or 200 times, there's your thousands of hours. So he broke it down into the smallest possible time. Now, will you get abs 8 minutes? No, you're not gonna. No, you know that. Everyone knows that. Are you gonna finish a marathon with dignity and strong, running 8 minutes, 10 minutes? No, you're not. But that first 10 minutes of running may lead into 20. The 20 leads into 40. The 40 leads into 80. The 80 leads into 160. So I can't say that that information being shared was a lie. It wasn't. It was a great beginning. But I'm not. I'm into the tough love. I'm in the marketplace of tough love. I believe, the solution is never convenient. It's difficult. There's nothing wrong with that. And your brain wants to tell you it will always choose, the convenience. Oh, I only need to do this. Oh, I only need to do that. Oh, you're running too much. One person says I only need to run 3 days a week and I'll be fine. You're looking at it at that's not the point. That's not the point of the routine of being consistent. And I say it a million times. We are running to be strong, very strong. That's the whole point. That is not coming from convenience. There are no shortcuts, like I said. There are no hacks. It's just discipline, consistency, and effort. And over time, okay? It's just, that's the way it is. People want to be reassured. I'm definitely not here for that need. I'm not going to reassure you with convenience. There's no way. And this whole trust thing. Oh, do I trust this person? The information, is it validated? Can I respect it? They're experiments. I'm not a professional runner. I'm not a professional athlete. I never studied nutrition in an institution. Have I read books on it? Yes, all the time. It's information that I process. It's information that I experiment with. It's information that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work. I take the golden nuggets, I like to call them. Any book you read, it's filled with these golden nuggets hidden in the pages. And you take those golden nuggets, you make them your own, you experiment and see what works for you. Throw out the stuff that doesn't work and keep the stuff that does. And then you evolve. And then it changes. Like, what do you eat before a marathon? You know how many people have that question? What do I eat the week before or 2 days before a marathon? What do I eat? And there's people saying, well, this and that. If you're concerned about what to eat days before a marathon, you've already failed. The what to eat is discovered through experimenting and your training. And the what to eat sometimes isn't immediate. It takes weeks and months and hours of training to understand how your body is processing it. If someone says to carb load and you carb load, or does it work? Are you reassured of that? So you're saying everybody who carb loads 2 days or during a marathon doesn't fail at mile 20 and finishes the marathon strong? If it was that easy, everyone would finish a marathon strong. If the answer was just eat these carbs, this many calories per hour, this goo, this gel, there would people be zipping at mile 20. But that doesn't happen. Do you know how many people I see failing mile 18, 19, 20, and 21? Do you know how many people that are failing during the marathon are squeezing these goos and gels into their mouth thinking a miracle is going to happen? Those are suggestions by the industry for you to buy something. Do you understand that? It, does it work? Maybe. Does it work for everybody? Absolutely not. I was reading an article about marathon runners running in ketosis. They haven't had a carb in 2 years. Now, you would think a CrossFit athlete that has a very specific diet with very little carbs or no carbs at all would never, ever even be able to finish 26.2 miles. Well, that's not true. But that's not something you could just go, you know what? I'm not going to eat carbs. That's the point of training. And it falls under transformation, okay? Slow, methodical, experimenting. You have all this information. You need to experiment and see what works for you. It may be a combination. See, I don't want to talk about what I do because I'm still experimenting with a lot of stuff. I'll tell you this, I don't eat goos or gels. I'll have a banana in my waist or maybe 2 bananas. And sometimes I'll have a half a banana, mile 13, and I don't feel like eating. Like my body doesn't need it. There's some of my training runs where I'm starving and I'm eating those 2 bananas in 10 miles. But when I'm running a marathon, I'm not consuming carbs on the hour. I'm paying attention to my body, how I'm feeling. And people say, well, how do you know you're not going to get ambushed and lose this energy? Well, 28 times running, carbs haven't destroyed me or lack of carbs mile 20. Some days it's just not your day. And I can't push it. And I can't finish as strong as I want. My pace is 30 seconds more. But I'm not failing. I'm just not performing to the best of my ability that day. Now, I may never perform to the best of my ability ever again. That's not because I'm not training hard. That's not because I'm not taking this serious. It's biology. I'm getting older. There's a time where my PR, personal record, that I achieved, was very proud of, I will never get it again. That's biology. As you get older, you have to accept that. I accept it. I don't mind getting slower every year. I do mind getting weaker. So when I train for a marathon and I say, I run to be strong, that marathon is connected to my life. It's not just me training for 26.2. That's me training for a quality lifestyle where I'm strong and not a victim. That's very important to me. So my training, yes, I enjoy running the marathon. Yes, I enjoy finishing the marathon. But I'm not training just for the marathon. I'm training to be strong, very strong. That's the point. That's what I want to share with you. That's through my experiments, 10 years. I started running at 50. I could say I'm an expert at a person who never ran before, who ran 28 marathons in their 50s and experimented all the time. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't work, sometimes I came to no conclusion. I don't know if it worked. Like when I take supplements, I'll be honest with you. You have people swearing you have to take this supplement. You have to. You're leaving gains behind. Baloney. Baloney. For a fact, unless you're connected to this scientific experiment and they're breaking down every single part of your body and how that supplement is being used or not being used, or it's impossible. It's impossible. That's why I'm of the belief I eat one ingredient foods. What the heck is a one ingredient food? If the ingredient has one word, like it's describing what you're eating, that's one ingredient. So people say, well, you only eat, one ingredient foods at a time. No, you can have a salad that's mixed with a bunch of one ingredient foods, but you really need to pay attention what you put into your body. And if you take the time and make the effort, the supplements are, like, the majority of them are unnecessary. That's through my experimenting, and that's what works for me. I'm not telling you that's the absolute answer and solution for you. I'm saying I experiment, and this supplement didn't make mile 20 easier. And that's another thing why I love running marathons. It's the test, the ultimate test for me. I feel incredible. Every marathon, mile 18. Oh, I'm going to push it. I'm going to go for my personal record. I feel incredible. then The unpredictable happens. You know what the unpredictable is? You don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. But during that, I call it the magical moment because it defines you as a person. You either handle that with dignity or you don't. The whole entire energy of a marathon completely changes around mile 18. It's remarkable. There are people that look so strong that have passed you. And when you come up on them on mile 18, they are barely moving forward. I know exactly what they're going through. It's the test. You know, people say they break the marathon into 3 parts. 13.1 is the halfway point. And sometimes they say, mile 20 is the halfway point. Man, the marathon begins at mile 20. It begins. The rest of it was just a polite introduction to mile 20. And then the things that happen at mile 20 are unbelievable. That's what makes it so unique. If your training block was impeccable, you did everything you wanted to do, you achieved every running goal, you didn't miss one day of running, you did everything you were supposed to do, you ate your carbs, your watch beeped while you're running your marathon, you hit mile 20, you're about to put in one more goo or gel or candy or crap or junk into your body, and you're feeling your best, all of a sudden, the wheels fall off. But you did everything right. I carb loaded. I ate every goo and gel, electrolytes, everything. I have it all. It's all over me. Nope. That's what's amazing about it, how unpredictable it is. And in that moment, you feel incredibly insecure all of a sudden. And now you have a choice. What do you do? It's very easy to make choices when everything's going your way. Very easy. But now you're ambushed. Your body is screaming for you to stop. That's the marathon. Right there. That's the marathon. It's not the end, not the last mile, it's not the point 2, not when people are screaming and yelling. Nope. It's that time, usually that's just the challenge comes in. Mile 18, mile 19, mile 20. And how you handle that is who you are, not just as a runner, as a person. And you were working on you during your training. And not because somebody said you need to run 3 or 4 times a week, or in your training block, you need to train for a marathon in 16 weeks, or don't run over 16 miles. You can't run too much. You're going to injure you and hurt yourself. Those marathon training plans are a suggestion, okay? It's just a suggestion. It's not one size fits all. It's like you can't read the directions and finish a marathon strong with dignity just because you followed all the directions? That's not what the training's for. The training is to experiment, controlled stress, try new things, see what works for you. And sometimes you don't know if it works until mile 20. That's why I get a kick out of these people trying on a pair of shoes and squishing the foam in the ground. Oh, they feel really good. Yeah, well, let's see how good they feel mile 20. Or they could feel incredible mile 20. Your shoes could be perfect. Your shoes didn't fail you. Your carbs didn't fail you. But something is failing. And how you process that, your mind, not your body, your mind. How your mind processes that feeling. That's who you are. Not by chance, by work, hard work. There's no gimmicks. There's no hacks at that time. That's just you dealing with you to get you to finish that marathon strong and with dignity. There's no quick fix. So the training for the marathon is training for life. How you handle situations in life. Not when they're going the way they're supposed to. When they're not going the way they're supposed to. That's who you are. I think Marilyn Monroe had that great quote. You know, she says, I'm only paraphrasing this and I'm butchering it, but she basically said, listen, I'm hard to deal with. I'm not the perfect person that you think I am. But if you want me at my best, you better be able to handle me at my worst. Isn't that interesting? That's what the training is. You put yourself in those situations. So when mile 20 hits you and capsizes you, you're not in panic mode. You're not stopping. Stillness isn't going to solve it. So experiment. Take the information that people share with you and be aware if it's convenient, if it's easy. That's not the solution, because it's not easy. And do you want it to be easy? Do you actually want it to be easy? No, because then you won't appreciate it. So showing up to that marathon to the best of your ability and experimenting and really pushing yourself during training, that's the most difficult thing. Anybody could finish a marathon. And the minute you cross the finish line, you're getting a medal. You paid for the medal. It's not free. You paid. You paid good money for the medal. It's that point, getting there. And how do you feel? Some days it goes your way. Some days it doesn't. Some days you're feeling incredible. Some days you're feeling horrible. And you have an amazing race. So getting back to the theme of today, there are no quick fixes, okay? I mean, they spread like wildfire. Trust me. People parrot them, do this, and this will occur. Come on. And training in silence, because we're working on our mind for those situations that eventually are going to come that don't go our way. And that's the beauty of it. I yapped enough today. I had fun. I hope there's some golden nuggets in here for people. I really do. I'm going to get better at this. Okay. So I'll leave you with this. I want you to run to be strong. Very strong. Signing off. Sayonara.